and welcome to Forged from Iron. A little bit of housekeeping as I always do. Please don't forget to like, comment on and share this stream to your social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, and make sure you hit the bell icon for alerts on new content. As always, we thank you indeed for your support in this matter. You are here for the latest installment of Mount Matty Rushmore. Now, if you are not aware of the premise because you're new to the channel, allow me to explain. We here at Forged from Iron get a guest in the hot seat and we will donate to them a virtual Mount Rushmore where the guest has to carve into them heads of 4 West Ham players that they have seen during their time following the club. Now, they could go route one. They might just go with the best of the best, the most skilled players that they've ever seen. However, they might change tack a little bit and they might go perhaps for cult heroes. They might go for academy graduates, bad boys. They might choose someone because they actually quite like them as a person rather than their playing skills on the pitch. Or indeed, it could be any combination of these or something completely different. It's their mountain. They can create it as they see fit. And today we have in a very special guest. We have in Jazz from the West Ham Irons channel. How are you, sir?
Rum in my hand and one of my favourite channels I'm on at the moment. And yeah, doing really, really well. Yeah, not too bad, thank you. And thank you for inviting me on this very original show, which I like. I like new ideas, which you're doing. Yeah, really looking forward to this show. Yeah.
Appreciate that, guys. Appreciate that, Jazz. Guys watching, if you could also see your way clear. Jazz, as I say, has his own West Ham fan YouTube channel. Jazz, I'll tell you what, rather than me trying to plug it, I'll let you take the floor on this one.
Yeah, we started in January, so it's coming up to 8-9 months. West Ham Irons channel. Please subscribe. Yeah, please subscribe. You know me from all the other channels I've been at, and this one's kind of my own venture on my own, and we've got a couple of good people around us and new things we're trying to do. So yeah, West Ham Irons channel, plug in. We've got loads of stuff going back to January. You can look at Hammer History Series, my first game, which I think you done yourself.
Yep.
Instant reviews after the game and things like that, really. So yeah, get cracking. The channel's doing well. We've hit the 1K mark, monetized, making some money, mate, making some money, and had super chats in as well. I didn't even know what they were. So I'm like, what the hell's happened here? Frankie's like, someone just sent you £10 to read a message. I didn't know what was going on. Yeah, but yeah, West Ham Irons channel. Follow me, and I hope you enjoyed the ride. Yeah.
Fantastic. Right. Okay. So Jazz, all I do is I foot the ladder. That's all I do. I will be at the bottom of the ladder as you're up the top of the ladder, chipping away at this rock face. So you've got 4 choices to make, and let's start with the beginning. Who's the first player you're going to go for?
Before I get into it, I watched a couple of, well, certainly one show I was watching, and what I liked about it was obviously you have to kind of watch them live, hopefully, you know. That made my job a bit easier because all the fabulous players my father watched, 70s, early 80s, that's kind of not for me. My first live game was 88, 89. So that kind of makes it quite original. And the other thing, obviously, you mentioned the word cult a lot, you know, and some of the guests in the past. And so these 4 cult heroes, which means they're kind of, they're not your kind of Brooking, all nice and Bonds, all reliable. They're up and down, obviously more up than down. absolute characters, you know, nutters and things like that. So, yeah, lots of goals, lots of talent, and they left their mark on the club in one way or another.
Definitely.
Obviously, they have played different years, different periods. So the first one I'd like to start off with, we'll probably start in chronological order, really. So let's have a look at the first one who made his debut first out of them, and that's Mr. Frank McAvenny.
Absolutely. And as Russ Budden describes players of this ilk, a boomerang player that actually had 2 spells with us.
He did, a bit like TC, one of the ones I can think of, top of my head. And I think Don Hutchinson, perhaps, he came back twice. I could be wrong.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Julian Dix, who we'll come to later on. But yeah, Frank McAvenny, Super Mac for me. Been fortunate enough to meet him. The children met him, got a great photo with him. He's one of those players, especially, you know what it's like. Gatesy, when you're kind of at school, that's when your passion in football is probably huge because you've got nothing else going on in your life. In the nicest way possible, you're not married, you've got no kids. It's just school, football. And the boy, I mean, he used to look like a film star to me. He's with that big blonde hair. You could spot him on the pitch. And you're kind of in awe of him, and he still looks good for his age. He's still, he settled down nicely with another lady, and I met him, and again, he's doing things that he's Peter Pan. So even when I met him, he was very early in the morning. It was in a pub in East London, a West Ham event, and he was on time. And he said it, and I believe him. He said, I got in like 3-4 in the morning. And 8-9 in the morning, he was there, suited and booted, ready, because that's how he lives his life. He's always... Yeah. And he always used to say, he goes, my issue was never sort of staying up. You know, I always get up and I was just coming home and stuff like that. So McAvenny for me, I even remember what makes it even more romantic is people might not remember this, but when he signed for us from St Mirren, there was a argument between BBC ITV and the league, the Football League. There's no highlights till January, so no one knew if he didn't go like me what he looks like. And there was a famous Terry Wogan show which kind of made his name in front of everyone, and even someone met him. They interviewed a West Ham fan in about November time, and by then he scored 13-14 goals before Christmas, something like that, crazy. And they go, do you know who he is? He goes, I don't know who he is. And he's like, so it's a bit of a secret, a bit of a mystery. And Dad would put the radio on, and they'll say there's been a goal at Upton Park, and Dad will say, I bet it's him again. Yes, and they will say, yes, West Ham are 1-0 up, and yes, you've guessed it, it's McAvenny. It's a very unique name. It's not like Mr. Smith or Mr. Evan. There's not many people with that name. And it was just, and you were scoring like twos, wouldn't he? You get one, he'd definitely get a second one. And then Dad used to keep his scores in the diary. When he'd look at it, it would say, McAvenny. It was mad, mate. Like McAvenny for me, he made his name. He came from nowhere, no reputation. He came as a midfielder from St Mirren with ginger hair, and he joined us as a blonde, as Tony Gale says in the showers, we found out. And that shirt behind me, which is from the official club shop, it's a McAvenny and Cotty. So you got two signatures up, the original frame shirt from there. And obviously one of the other players is in the other bar. So McAvenny for me, mate, it's romantic. It's kind of, he's kind of he's one of us. He mixes in. There's no flavouring, artificial colours. And he even says, he goes, I'm one of the last few players who was a fan on the terraces because he made it quite late. He didn't join some glitzy academy. His dad wasn't a famous player. He didn't have a lot of money. He's from Glasgow. And he made it just like unique. Anyone's dream could come true. He lived his life like that, and he does admit he didn't look after a lot of his money, but that's just, he lived his life.
No, but he enjoyed himself, you know. And I mean, look, let's be completely honest with it, Jazz. You know, he played top level football. He played for his country, and he had a drink. He enjoyed himself away from the pitch. You know, he had a page-free girl on his arm at one point. You know what I mean? He listen. We'd quite happily swap with Macca. We'd quite happily live the life that he led. He had a very good time back in the day, as you say. He's settled down now. He's living at a slightly more steady pace, dare I say, than he did when he was in his sort of like footballing years. But even so, I mean, sort of like same as you. I've met Macca. I've been very fortunate enough to meet him face to face, and he's still got that little glint in his eye. There's still a little bit of the old Macca there, isn't there?
I think you cannot ever imagine him being serious. He's always got a laugh in him, a joke in him, a giggle in him, that kind of eye. And that is, listen, that's my friends, a circle of friends. So he'd fit in like anything. We all, even someone says, how do you feel? I feel like I'm 21. I'm still doing the same things. I still mess about. Obviously, we do have to work and sort the kids out, but there's always madness in us, and I'd have it no better. And he's one of us, mate. And definitely. If we could pick a few people that you want to have a dinner with, these four that I'm going to mention are the ones I like to have dinner with out of the whole history. Because with respect, I think Brooking and Bonds, I think they're too quiet for me. And these people would, oh my, you know what they're like. Anybody, you know the names. You would have a bundle of laughs, mate. And you need a lot of booze in stock for these lot, mate. They'll run out pretty quick, and
your run might disappear a bit rapid.
And just to be a bit serious, I started to go in '89. So what happened is he broke his leg, sod's law, before the first home game that season. Sod's law, I was going to see him for the first time. He broke his leg against Stoke. Chris Kamara broke his leg. That's why he gets a lot of stick from West Ham fans. Lou Macari came in, who it's all public. He doesn't get on with him. That's fine. It's not our business. He didn't come back till January, February. It wasn't quite the same. He scored a hat-trick on his last game, Upton Park, against Wolves, I think, which is
Nottingham Forest.
Nottingham Forest. And he was a sub. He wasn't going to come on till, I think Mitchell Thomas deliberately said, I'm injured, to get him on. And I'm like, wow. It was written in the stars for him to do that kind of thing. Just a bit sad that we've lost him. The game has lost him in terms of a coach or anything. Or I'm sure because he lives so far away, he can't. I mean, I'm not saying we do the boxes at West Ham. It's a lot of money, but he's not there for that either. Ray Stewart does it, who we mentioned in one of your shows. So not a lot of chances to meet him. But you've met him, I've met him, and I'll always cherish him. And I think he's a West Ham fan deep down, you know.
Yeah.
And one of his stories is that a Tottenham fan tried to get heavy with him in the toilets, and the cast pennant, and the boys found out about it, and they sorted this particular fan out. Had a word for Frank. He mentions on one of the podcasts. So Frank, it has to be Frank. He's my first cult hero as a kid at school, and because Alvin Martin, they're a bit too young to follow them that time, and he came in fresh, young. Bit of a film star, pop star.
You wanted to be him secretly, didn't you? You looked at him scoring the goals with the model girlfriend, having a bevy and various other things, and you wanted to be him, same as I did.
I think what it is, I mentioned on my shows, watching the transfer windows, and for me as a kid and even now, there's nothing like signing either a skillful midfielder or striker for West Ham. You can sign a 15 million centre back, 40 million left back, right back, goalkeeper, CDM. It just doesn't have the same drive as when you buy a striker and he scores in front of your kids, in front of you. He's a star then, isn't he, from that time onwards? Definitely. Whereas a left back might make one or two tackles. You're not going to remember after a week the tackle, 2 weeks.
No,
so
probably not.
So that's the reasons. Yeah, it's McAvenny.
He's in. And just looking here, just stop and consider this, ladies and gentlemen. In our most successful ever league season in 85-86, he was our top league goal scorer with 26 goals. Now, he finished 4 goals away from Gary Lineker, who that season got the league's golden boot with 30 goals. But just consider this. Gary Lineker took penalties for Everton. Frank McAvenny did not take penalties, didn't take one for West Ham. And you do sit there and think, and obviously we had, as I recalled this comes the day after we did an interview, a Q&A with Ray Stewart, who was on penalty detail in that season. Well, Ray Stewart scored, I believe, if I remember rightly, 6 penalties in the 85-86 season. Alvin Martin scored one in that 8-1 as well. So that's 7 extra goals that potentially Macca could have got. He'd have won the Golden Boot easily if he'd have been on penalty detail. No problem at all.
Yeah, he does mention that, and then obviously maybe Lineker scored in that last game at Goodison, which didn't mean anything to West Ham. He goes, we jacked it in after that because the World Cup was coming up.
Hart wasn't in it. He
mentions that, and then obviously before we talk about the second person, when McAvenny come back, he became the penalty taker after Ray Stewart, and McAvenny goes, I couldn't do it again.
Couldn't do it.
And these two and Ray Stewart, the one we're going to talk about, are the best penalty takers in the history of football, Absolutely. If not West Ham. So mad, isn't it?
Well, the people watching have probably worked out who the second one is by that comment. But please just confirm, who is the second head that you're going to go back up that ladder with your hands now really showing some signs of wear and tear from all that hammering and chiseling that you've had to do to get that beautiful visage of Frankie Mac on the front of your mountain. What's the second head going to be?
I remember this signing. Very skinny, gaunt-looking kid. Buck teeth a little bit, if I remember lately. Not too tall, not big, not spectacular looking anyway. And before anyone, we know the transfer window, don't we? The 2 months. back in those days, 1987, March, I think it was, the window used to shut. So you couldn't sign anyone after March. And John Lyle grabbed Julian Dix from Birmingham City.
He did.
So he came in and no one knew. But John, as we know, did his homework, followed players for a good number of months, if not years, knew everything about them, what they ate, what their wife's name was, their pet, where they lived, everything. John would do it. And Julian Dix came in as a left back, 1987, and he was the best player we had when I started watching in 89, 90. So when Slater came in, Dixie was there. Lou Macari made him captain. Obviously, Ince left the sinking boat, didn't he? We got relegated. Yep. Ince went. Alan Dickens went, but obviously Alan Dickens mentions it recently in one of the West Ham related media things out there. It was a big mistake what he done. And Dixie became captain. And I've never seen to this day a player, especially from left back, influence a game the way he did. Fullback's a very difficult position, but he was the amount of passing, short range, long range, free kicks, corners, penalties, and headers. We mustn't forget, I don't know what kind of spring he had. God, from a corner, wow, he connected with a good few. Absolutely cult hero, A1. Chicken Run loved him. Fans young like us loved him. And he said his training routine was never warm up, 1 Mars bar, couple of cans of Coke, and start smashing the ball. And I'm like, whoa. And Julian Dix is, again, similar to McAvenny. And not surprised, I think they both shared a room at one stage, and they do get on. I think one of the stories, they started to play golf when Bonzo was in charge in the hotel, and they made holes in the wall and the door, and Bonzo's like, what the hell is that sound?
I think he walked in, didn't he? The story I heard is he walked in, he saw all these golf balls everywhere, and he's just gone, I don't want to know, and he's walked off.
Well, Wardy actually offered Bonzo out, didn't he? And Bonzo goes, right, Monday morning, you and me. And it all got sorted in the end. And
no, that was Dixie, not Wardy.
Dixie, yeah. But now they kind of love each other, and yeah, obviously very close, Bonzo and Dixie and everything. But and I get annoyed, and you do, Gatesy, when you speak to people in that time who supported maybe Man United, Liverpool, they haven't got a Scooby about Dix.
No.
How good he was. He should have been a bit more caps. I know Piercy was there, England. He got called up and they had a go at his short haircut, and he said, I'm not going to play. I'm not going to play for you anymore. Yep. I think Glenn Hoddle was in charge at that time.
Yeah, if you grow your hair a bit longer, you'll get a few caps. What's hairstyle got to do with it?
It's crazy. They used to have the England A team. So he was in the A team with Bishop and one or two others, Andy Sinton, all those lot.
I think he played alongside Alan Shearer, amongst other things, and Matty Letitia, I think.
Yeah, because his upbringing was from a very tough Birmingham team that included Ray Harford, Mick Dennis, Terry Hurlock, perhaps, proper nutters. And it has to be for me, Dixie. I think, that time he's player of the year. Came back as a coach with Bilic. He's not himself. I think he's got another little one. His daughter's friends with you and me, probably on Facebook and Twitter. So very nice family. They all got West Ham in their hearts. And it's Dixie again, and he's one of us again. And you could meet him down the road. He's not gonna. Perhaps somebody. I don't want to get into trouble, but maybe some of these foreign players at the moment, like the Mexican. Was it Hernandez? What was his name? Yep.
Chicharito.
He wouldn't sign nothing for your kids, mate. Forget it. You would not do it. You look the other way, Pellegrini. This guy obviously talked to you and stuff like that. So Dixie for me, mate, cult hero.
And again, another player that went away and came back.
I didn't think about that. That's true. So that's him as well. And again, on a night out, oh my God, McAvenny and Dix to start off with.
Could you imagine that?
I'm like,
rum. My God.
We'll have a few at home, and then we'll hit the nightclub after. Oh mate, yeah. Whoa, that'll be something, wouldn't it? Absolutely.
And he although Julian Dix, everybody sort of says about his disciplinary record, this, that, and the other, but it's quite interesting because when he went to Liverpool, I don't think he got a booking. And then I think it was within sort of like the first half of his second debut when he came back, he got a booking, and you're sitting there and you're going, What's that all about? How does that? I mean, you could argue it's big club bias and all the rest of it, and I think there was a bit of that. But Julian Dix, I mean, he could hit a pile driver of a strike from distance, and just like traveling so quickly. But also he could ping a 50, 60, 70 yard crossfield ball to feet, no problem at all. He wasn't just a sledgehammer. He could be the sort of like the surgeon with the scalpel. Do you know what I mean? He could be precise. He could be deft when it was called upon. But like you say, he played at left back. How many left backs have you ever seen that have, when it's not going well, have been able to say, okay, you lot ain't doing it, I'll bloody do it myself, and literally grab the game by the scruff of the neck and turn it around on his own from left back? I mean, Dixie was an absolute phenomenon.
He's the biggest compliment I can give him. It was though he was playing in centre mid. He was always visible to the eye. Usually fullbacks are just, the ones we've had, Fredericks and all garbage like that. He was always in the middle of everything, starting attacks. Perhaps if I remember, McCloskey would roll out the ball to him. Yes. And like you said, he'll look up and 25 yards to Bishop, no problem. Bishop would catch it, so we're lucky in that period of players we had. And we mustn't forget the second occasion when he had a career-threatening injury, didn't he? And he came back from that, didn't he? I think
he had it twice, didn't he? He done his knee ligaments twice. He did it once in his first spell. If I remember rightly, it was away at Bristol City. He went off. There was like a sort of like you had the pitch, and then there was like a bit where you sort of like it dropped off, and he's sort of like he's and the just to sort of illustrate the sort of the pain threshold that Julian Dix had, and sort of like the mental capacity to overcome adversary. Bear in mind, he's ruptured, I think it was his ACL. He's ruptured one of his knee ligaments anyway. He played on for another game and a half.
I heard you talk about John Moncur in terms of golf. Dixie nearly made it as a pro. He just fell short. He was that good. Very, very good golfer. And he just had everything in his draw, really. Obviously, it's going to be different. Well, actually, Bilic has got a new job, isn't he, in Watford? Is it Watford? So you might see him back again. Yeah, good to see him back in the role.
He's coaching in the States at the minute, isn't he?
We mustn't forget, people back then, listen, the houses are probably free, but you still need to eat and pay your bills. And so it's good to see them getting a little bit, still work and things like that. And for me, Dixie is, commands respect, I think. And favourite with everyone, old and generation, new generation. And
definitely.
And for me, it has to be Dixie, I think. Cult status, mate.
He's in.
Definitely.
Well, I've been at the bottom of the ladder as you've been chipping away at that rock face, and I'm telling you now, that is a quality bit of stonemasonry. I mean, listen, it's not long ago that you had no idea about stonemasonry, none whatsoever. And ladies and gentlemen, this man sitting over here, he's gone onto YouTube, he's done video tutorials, stonemasonry for dummies and things like that. And I'm telling you now, when you see this, you guys are going to be your jaws are going to hit the floor. But he's only halfway through. He's halfway through. He's going to have to get back up that ladder. He's going to have to get his hands back to work and get these next two out the way. So, Jazz, number 3. Who you got for me?
Number 3. Well, lucky for me. Well, not lucky, but you're chiseling up there, and sometimes you want to put the name up there. So, shares the same first name. It's Di Canio. It's Di Canio for me. Paolo Di Canio. And I mean, in terms of number of games, he's not going to be up there amongst any lot of players. He wasn't there for that long as some of the others we spoke about. But Di Canio is one of those that which Harry was very good at, damaged goods in a way that you didn't think he's ever going to sign for us. But Harry was always good at grabbing those people that fall out of favour for one reason or another, and then he was in there. Chairman didn't want it to go through.
No one wanted to touch him, did they?
I knew he was good though, because I'm followed him at Celtic, Sheffield Wednesday.
The first time I saw him, Jazz, I remember seeing him play for Napoli in Serie A, and it was when you had the great AC Milan team of Costa Curta, Baresi, Maldini, all of those players.
Well, the Dutch boys there who Van Basten,
they were watertight, and they were going through this run in Serie A where they hadn't lost a game. and they rocked up against Napoli with Di Canio in the lineup, and he scored this goal where he went one way, went the other, just totally bamboozled the defender. I don't know whether it was Maldini himself, but whoever it was, he just sort of like was back and forth, bang, put this ball past. I think the goalkeeper was Sebastiano Rossi. They won the game 1-0, and I was like, that's a player. And I remember watching his career sort of like going on. I think he went to Juventus and whatever. Then he ended up coming to Celtic, then Sheffield Wednesday. And when we signed him, I mean, like I say, it was after the push on the ref, Paul Alcock, the late Paul Alcock. But
well, Sheffield Wednesday lost it because Sheffield Wednesday had Benito Carboni as well, that they lost as well. That we went off to Bradford of one or two other teams, I think. But the Canio, the biggest compliment I can give when you watch world class or class international players is they never lose the ball, and they always seem to have a lot of time for some reason, you know. Probably could play with both feet, top of my head, and finish as well. And he's one of those in a tight corner, a bit like what they talk about Devonshire. If you're ever in trouble with the ball, Dev will say, just give it to me, and I'll take it past 2-3 of them, give it back to you. And McAvenny, again, going back to him, when one of my interviews, he goes, when I first met Dev, that's what Dev verbally said to him. And McAvenny thought, what an idiot, what a stuck-up prat. Like, what's he talking about? And Dev's like, just give it to me and I'll give it. And then McAvenny's like, oh, my God. He goes, he's probably the best player I've ever played with. What was he like before the injury, you know? So the Canio, okay, he's got the mouth. He gets upset. He doesn't turn up at away games. I get that. But if you're ever in the shit at home, give him the ball, mate.
Yeah.
We saw him wind up, one or two players in the opposition, didn't we? Yeah. And that Wimbledon goal, wasn't it? Yeah.
Do you know something though? Just on that, you say about the reputation he had about going missing away from Upton Park, but two of the performances away from Upton Park that stand out, or goals, I suppose. One was the away game at Old Trafford where he scored the goal. You remember? Carves? He scored the only goal in that, and the other one was the season we got relegated. We went to Stamford Bridge. Do you remember the 2 goals that he got?
Yeah. Well, was Brooking manager then? Right.
No, that was the home game. He came off the bench there. Rhoda was still in charge in the game at Stamford Bridge, but we won that game 3-2, and he got 2 cracking goals, brilliant goals. So, I mean, you know, I know that people said he went, and he probably did, but I do sort of point out to people, he did have a few moments away from Upton Park, in fairness.
I tell you what, question, like 4-2-3-1 we play at the moment, he can easily play in that 3. He ain't going to track back. How would Moyes? I don't think Moyes will. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure he would be a Moyes type player.
No,
I'm not sure he'd be a Moyes type player.
But then the problem is, well, for another show, but the Kenny is a West Ham player. He's a West Ham player. In the West Ham tradition. Yeah, beautiful footballer. Absolutely stunning. And I mean, you know, I'm just looking here. I mean, yes, he as you say, was he here as long as certain other players? Did he have a long career? Well, he was with us for 5 seasons all told, or 4.5 really. But in all competitions, 141 matches, 51 goals in all competitions. This is he was, until Michele Antonio overtook him, he was our record Premier League goal scorer with 47 goals. So he's now our second top goal scorer in Premier League terms. But yeah, I mean, just a wonderfully gifted footballer. You know, the one thing that I could never understand, maybe it was a personality thing, maybe it was a bit similar to sort of Dixie with the England team. He never got a cap for the full national team. Played for the 21s, played for the B team, never played for the full national team. I think the strength was quite high, and similarly to what we said with Ray Stewart, they probably preferred people that were playing in Serie A than the Premiership, that kind of thing. But for me, Di Canio, if you remember, like you mentioned that Man United goal at Old Trafford, do you remember like he was virtually set to go to Man United, Ferguson? Yeah. And then something happened. He started crying when he's waving. Apparently that's it. I don't know what happened, or whether he's clarified that. Did he seriously say no in the end? I don't want to go. I don't know if you clarified that.
I think there was a story that I've heard where he just basically had a change of heart.
We can never forget that claret and blue suit he wears sometimes, like the last game at Berlin, you know? You know?
Yeah, the Canio, just a wonderful, wonderful footballer, wonderful technician. He might have been damaged goods. He might have been a flawed genius, but there's many players that we've had like that down the years, and we always take them to our hearts. We always embrace them, and they have a home at obviously back then at Upton Park and now at London Stadium. So
I heard he's the hardest player to get hold of to do anything for podcast or channel.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be coming on Forged or West Ham Iron's channel anytime soon. And if he does, he's probably cost us a few, Bob. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
There you go. Right, okay, so Di Canio is number 3 of your 4. Now, then we come to number 4. So I'm footing the ladder. You're about to go up there again, and you're about to carve out the final head. What you got for me, mate?
Yeah, before I come to it, thinking about this, we're probably not that far away from age. I first remember becoming West Ham fan in 83, 84, first game 89, 90. And all the way from there till now, we haven't had that many heroes to look up to. Not that many, especially compared to perhaps if you had anyone elder in your family, West Ham fan. So if you look at someone from 65 to 85, and then you look at us, wow, they've had...
well, like my dad. Look at Moore, Hurst, Peters, Brooking, Bonds, Lampard, Devonshire. Yeah, I mean, you name it. My old man's pretty much seen.
So he would struggle to name 4 if he would struggle.
Oh, if I sat him down, mind you, that'd be a miracle in itself. Getting him to sort of sit in front of a webcam, he wouldn't have a clue. But there you go. That's another story. But he would have a hard time because he's obviously got that big.
That's why it doesn't take me that long when we do shows like this. It doesn't. There's not that many to choose from that really hit you in the face, and you think, wow. So the last one, I don't know. I'm not going to say last but least, but just the one season really. It's Payet, isn't he? The Marmite Payet.
Left us in rather difficult circumstances. Tell you what, before you sort of get into your reasoning for why, how did you feel when he left? And do you feel any differently about it now 6 odd years later?
Before I get into it, I went to the first game at the new stadium. Mm-hmm. Second or first, very hot that day. Friendly Juve, was it? Juve friendly?
That was the official opening game, although we'd actually played Dom Zale a couple of days earlier.
I think it was the summer. Was it the World Cup or the Euros? A huge tournament. Bilic was there with Ian Wright, wasn't he, on BBC? Absolutely going mad about this man like we were. And then continue stories about 40 million bids that we rejected and the blah, blah, blah. And then I saw him warming up, and I think he maybe started the second half or he came off.
I think so,
There was something wrong in him. I'm like, he looked miserable. It's the first game in a new stadium and the season you've had. I thought there's something up with him. These little things you don't quite. And I thought
you couldn't put your finger on what was going on at the time.
Didn't he? He looked like
makes sense.
And then when he went, obviously Bilic had that very honest press conference and said doesn't want to play for us, and it is that fade and die. We are cursed, mate. I'm telling you, we are cursed. And when things start to look rosy, like they did 2 years ago, like they did a year ago, something just happens untowards that you can't even make it up. That means West Ham don't quite get there. So for me, quite upset, very upset, and not happy with him. And then, rumours about why, which is a private life thing, personal issue, I understand that. And it's just Todd's law, mate. God, we found you from somewhere. But then we start thinking about why didn't Wenger ever touch you? Wenger knew a dossier on every French player. Why were you the Canio? Were you damaged goods? I mean, I'm not going to blame Bilic. No, Bilic didn't do anything, mate. He got the best out of him. And you remember Gatesy, we were going for, talk about David Moyes Champions League 2 years ago. In that season, before he got injured by that horrific dirty tackle by that Everton guy, the CDM.
Was it McCarthy or McCarthy?
Oh, what a nasty. They singled him out, mate. The guy took him out twice. And he made such a difference. And I don't want to say we're a one-man team, but that's the closest that we've been to being.
Yeah,
kind of. He clicked. We
give it to Dimmy. He'll create some chaos somewhere. He'll create an opening or he'll score a goal.
I remember
he pretty much was a one-man team. Let's be honest.
I remember Noble like just looking at him like he's God. He's like, you don't understand what we've got. Jumping on here like this guy's just the free kick at Palace and Man United and all those things. So yeah, very upset. But it was just a West Ham thing, mate. But thank God, in a way, where his story was kind of true, that he didn't go to Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Real Madrid, Barcelona. It was true what he said. I need to go back there, which is, looking back, he was honest. He didn't jump ship because of more money, or you see what I mean, to make me feel better. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. It was true that he needed to go back there, and he hasn't gone anywhere since then. And he's done all right. I mean, yeah, that free kick, even the one in one of my intros, Palace one, it defies gravity, the rules of football. How can he curl it? It kind of goes around South London, comes all the way back and goes.
Yeah.
What the hell was that about?
The one he did a few days, I think it was 6 days earlier, away at Old Trafford, and you thought you'd seen it all then, and that was a cracking free kick. Let's not muck about. And you thought he can't possibly beat that. He can't possibly. I think he did 6 days later, because that one at Upton Park against Palace in the 2-2 draw, like you say, it defied every rule of physics. I think you had a 7-8 man wall, whatever it was, and the ball just went up, and when it was at its apex, you just thought the trajectory that's going to end up in the top section of the Trevor
flag or something like that.
Yeah, that's going to go nowhere, and then all of a sudden it dipped, it bent, and Wayne Hennessy's just like, oh fuck.
And Man United, obviously, David Hare was a much better goalkeeper then than now, and he had it all covered, but he kind of didn't hit the post and come back in, because you can't cover that as a goalkeeper. Wow, whoa!
It was almost like if we got a free kick somewhere around the penalty box, it was almost like a penalty.
I tell you, talk about Ward-Prowse. So that means Payet, in terms of assists and goals, worth about 10 a year then. Mixture of goals and assists, about 10 a year. That's a lot.
Easily. And it's such a shame that sort of like, I know that obviously you know the stories and I know the stories, and I'm sure everybody watching this knows the stories about why he went and all the circumstances.
Which we'll never know anyway, but we think we do.
We think we do, and we think there's a good chance of it. And I do sit there and think, well, if the version of events that I've heard and you've heard is true, if he'd have just come out and gone, my missus has buggered off back to France with the kids, and I've got to go, I don't think any of West Ham supporter that has family, that has children, would look at him and go, no, sorry, Dimmy, you've got to stay here without your wife, without your children. Do you know what I mean? I think every West Ham fan would have supported him. They'd have been sad to see him go, but they'd have gone, we understand, we get it. Look at the situation with Craig Dawson that we've got at the minute. I think most West Ham fans would hate to see Craig Dawson go, but would understand it. If you do it in the right way, it could, I think that a lot of the animosity that some West Ham fans still harbour towards Dimitri Payet could have been avoided if it had been handled right.
Listen, we'll never know, but obviously I am not happy with not him and the missus. They could have handled it a bit differently. We don't know if she was homesick and she didn't know. And obviously people from France struggle to speak English. Yep. Marseille, I used to go there for work a lot of the times. Yeah, it is very different. He's born in a Guadeloupe or Martinique, very, very small French island he's from.
Réunion.
Yeah, one of those three. And I don't know, but obviously listen, we've been married for a long time. Things happen. There's a solution. And yeah, listen, as blokes, yeah, we do. When we say, sorry, I won't do it again, and usually you don't, hopefully. And then it could have maybe gone down that route and say, all right, I have fucked up, but let's give it. But no. I mean, I don't agree with that either. Yeah. I mean, this is his fucking trade. As far as I know, you don't even work, love. You rely on him. Yeah. And you remember the Mark Ward story? He wanted to, the missus goes, started crying, and she goes, John's like, no way. He goes, I paid $250 for him, and to replace him now is going to cost me $700-800K. Here's another £400 a week to get you shopping. because some of the ladies, with respect, I don't want to get into trouble from Mersey, so we've had a lot of trouble from them up north because they're like, that picture in our mind, they like to have a chat
David
over the wall. Yeah, what a and because he played so well in that three at the back, whatever system we had. But yeah, I mean, Bilic, I know he's not, but actually no, it's a different time now and different mentality. Is too much money, but I think she should have given it a bit longer than just for me. I don't know how far it went. I don't know if he had a fucking kid with anyone. I don't know, but I think he owed us a bit more, didn't he? And she should have respected it a bit more.
Yeah,
and because who's to say if you're that kind of character? Who's to say in Marseille? I don't know, mate. I don't know.
And the shame of it is that you look at a player that showed what he showed in a claret and blue shirt. If he'd have moved on to Real Madrid, I'd have got it. I'd have understood. He went back to Marseille.
That would have made me like. I would have lost it a bit more then. I think now.
No, but I could have understood it. He's gone to a sort.
Oh yeah, we would have got the 40 million we wanted. 45. That was his value. His value was 45 million, and we got 20 or hardly anything.
I mean, we made a profit on him. Don't get me wrong. In 18 months, we made a profit. But this was a player that after the Euros, we would sort of like hearing figures bandied around of 40, 50, 60 million quid. He's off to Madrid, whatever. And we ended up getting 25, I think it was, from Marseille. And he's still at Marseille now. I think he's 35, 36 now. So his career is sort of like towards the latter stages of his career. And you just sit there and think, for a player of his talent, he could have done so much more.
I know for different reasons. I don't know why the hell I'm thinking of Joey Beecham at Oxford. I don't know why his name come up to my mind. But listen, nothing to do. But he obviously wanted to go back to Oxford. His girlfriend, Billy's like, you lost a plot. We just bought you. Lost money on him. Had to buy Webster, who's a very average centre half. I think part of that deal. So you get it in life. But why does it happen to us?
Always, isn't it? Always. It's such a damn thing.
Well, I'm not going to mention it, but someone's going to put Arnie in this program, aren't they? Arnie at some point.
Possibly.
And he touches all the 4 characters I've got.
Similar thing. But anyway, Jazz, I've been footing this ladder, and your hands, there's blood, there's skin peeling off, there's blisters everywhere. But I've got to say, I'm looking up at this monument that you've constructed, mate, and I'm telling you now, for a guy that a short time ago had no clue about carving stone in sort of like heads into mountain size and all that, you've gone out, you've done your due diligence, you've honed your craft, and I'm just going to peel back the curtain and ladies and gentlemen,
look at that.
Feast your peepers on that. Look at that. Macca, Dixie, PDC and Dimitri. Listen, you go.
If I went out with these 4, I ain't coming back, mate. Oh my days, I'm not coming back.
Thing is, I don't think Paolo sort of like would drink that much. I think Dixie and Macca, they'd probably drink you up.
No, but he'd start a fight, wouldn't he, sober, the Kenny? He'll start a fight
that
sober.
Is true. That is true. He'd get in a row with someone because they haven't sort of delivered they've delivered him a pizza with pineapple on top, and he's gone mental at them.
Yeah.
Dimitri, I'm not sure. I don't know. But Macca and Dixie, that'd be a good night out. But Jazz, that is a marvellous effort you've done there, mate. And despite the fact that your hands are now battered, have you enjoyed the experience?
I have because it kind of rekindles your memories, that kind of thing. Because of our channels, we're always doing current stuff. But through your efforts, through this show, and obviously the other shows with Ray Stewart, it's nice to, because I love history. It was my favourite subject at school. I believe in tradition a lot as well. Yeah. And I love talking about the old school things, West Ham, and that's, I did the Hammer History one. I'm going to go back to it again. I like it. It breaks the season up a bit. You don't want to be depressed too much about what's going on at the moment. And and it kind of pays homage and respect to these players. They've left their mark on our club. Whether they like it or not, they're part of the history, mate. They cannot be taken away.
Absolutely.
Our kids, your grandkids, they're going to know who they are. They're going to read the Britain. Wow, footage on YouTube and whatnot. So, I really enjoyed it, mate. Thanks for inviting me on. And I'm definitely going to take a print of what we just seen, and put it in my bar. I'd be proud of my bar. I think it looks great.
Good man.
We'll do
Good
that.
man.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to, before we finish on this venture, I would like to implore you to please don't forget to like, comment on, and share this stream to your social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, and maybe even consider giving a subscribe to the West Ham Irons channel whilst you're at it if you haven't done so already. You know it makes sense. Don't forget to hit the bell icon for alerts on new content. As always, we thank you very much indeed for your support. Jazz, you wanted to say something just there.
Yeah, before I go, I just wanted to see if you've seen one of our old friends. It's been a while. Zippy, have you seen him? Have you heard from him?
He's been getting involved. He's been causing some chaos for some of our guests of late, Jazz. And to be honest with you, I want to catch up with him because I want to have a little word with him and set him straight. But
I've heard he's
eluded me so far.
Yeah, I've heard he's been up and down in terms of bit of mischievous, bit of
yes.
He had that health scare last year, but he's fine now. He had COVID.
He'll have a bloody health scare when I catch hold of him. Let me tell you.
Really,
I'm not happy with him.
Well,
but, you know,
yeah.
Like I say, just watch your back, Jazz. Just watch your back. That's all I'm saying. You know.
Lucky I put the camera up, didn't I?
I'll tell you what. Yeah, I think you've done well there, but you have switched it on, haven't you?
I have, but
yeah.
I hope it. Yeah, I've switched it on, but.
All right. Okay. Good. Well, I'm sure I'm worrying unnecessarily.
He's not that tall, though, is he? I hope it catches him. He's not that tall, though.
No. Anyway, Jazz.
Yeah, take care.
What are we, my friend?
We're Hammers. We're West Ham. We're coming, you Irons.
We're massive. Come on. Come on, you Irons.
We're mad as well.
Yeah, we are. Once we've had a few rums inside us. Take care, guys. Your rum collection, Jazz.
Right, everyone. If you reckon I lost the plot when we lost to Chelsea and Spurs, you ain't seen nothing yet. I went to the bar and I see this little character coming out the garage doors, and I didn't know what it was. It looked like Zippy, and I thought it was Zippy. But when I went to the bar to get some rum to fill up my glass, they weren't there. A whole bottle of rum wasn't even there, and now I know there's a thief. Winter's coming. I was putting up a camera actually today. So I looked in the camera and it's Zippy. It's Zippy coming out my garage and he's taken my bottle of rum and I've got no rum now. You know I don't drink vodka or gin. Everyone knows that. I am losing the plot at the moment. Zippy, you've got literally till the end of tonight to return that bottle of rum or I'm going to zip you up for life, my man. I've got super glue, all sorts. I've got scissors, Stanley knife. You don't know what I'm going to do to you. Right? If you think I was mad when I did that West Ham Chelsea, you ain't seen nothing yet. So zip back to Jazz West Ham bar and put that rum back where it belongs.